KwaZulu-Natal is working to recover from the unrest. What is the plan to prevent a repeat, and how can racial tensions in parts of the province be diffused? Well, to play a role in this, one would imagine will be the governing party in the province in the name of the ANC, that's the African National Congress. Its secretary is Mdumiseni Ntuli. He's joining us now live here on the Midday View. Ntuli, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday View. Thank you very much for giving us your time. We know you have a very, very busy schedule. I mean, we just had news now. We were crossing live to eThekwini in the CBD of Durban there with Das and Tata. More bodies being found in a looted shop. I mean, the tragedy of the cost to human life of the unrest seems to be continuing. More and more heartbreak.
Well, thanks, Dan, and good afternoon to you and viewers at home. It's really a very difficult situation in our province. It's a tragedy that has befallen KZN with so many lives that have been lost, some of which we know, as we've been given reports, that these were innocent people who were up and on their way to different elections and happened to be victims of what was happening on the past few days. Certainly, as the ANC, we did and we've done so to convey our condolences and to support the families of the departed ones in any way possible. And we hope that at some point justice will prevail and justice will be served to ensure that the few of the suspects who are already were arrested by the police will ultimately give us a sense of what is it that has happened, which has led us to the position we found ourselves about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and one of the resulting or unintended, if I may say so, consequences have been the increase in racial tensions in an area like Phoenix. We've seen the police establishing a peace forum. We're bringing together the communities of the area to try and establish what happened and build peace. The governing party, what have you done on the ground as the ANC to promote reconciliation and peace in an area like Phoenix, as an example?
Well, then you will know that, and I'm sure the viewers at home will also be familiar with the fact that the ANC has as one of its core strategic objectives, which is to build a non-racial society. And we've understood right from the beginning that that will entail a massive struggle in a society that is obviously finding itself in major contradictions in terms of economic emancipation between the haves and the nots. Now, we are currently seized with that matter in Phoenix. A few weeks ago, we assembled a team of the clergy leadership, the religious leaders, those that are close to the ANC and those that are not close to the ANC, to say to them, within their sphere of influence, as leaders of faith in our province, especially within the area of eThekwini, and particularly those who reside in Phoenix, must also work with us to engage the different populations within Phoenix. Firstly, for everybody to understand and appreciate that there are few elements who are perpetuating a racial tension and who have embarked, unfortunately, in a heinous crime of committing murder and killing some of our innocent people, brothers and sisters, who were not involved in any way in the unfortunate looting that has taken place in the province. But as a party as well, we've got structures there, we've got our councillors. We've said to all of them that, which they've started doing from last week and the week before last, we've said to them, let's promote discussions and engagements. Firstly, at a level of meetings among those of us who are comrades, because we've got comrades from the Indian community and comrades from the African community. We're residing in the same area. We need to have that conversation deeply enhanced to ensure that we understand the origin of the problem and we work together to avoid it. But equally, we have also taken a decision that we are visiting families within the African communities and the families within the Indian communities, because we've understood that not everybody attends a meeting. So it may very well be that the best way to intervene and to galvanize the society towards this noble idea of building a non-racial society, which seems to be losing direction in the area of Phoenix, is also to reach out to different families and at family meetings. You gather 2, 3, 4 families and say to them, we are caught up in a situation that if we allow it to prevail, we are guaranteed to perish as a nation and as a people of Kwazulu-Natal.
Is that going to be an ongoing effort? I'm asking this because today, as you said, we've seen in a court like in Verulam, 10 suspects appearing in relation to some of those. They were allegedly involved in the murders and attempted murders. And we are talking about a very wide area there. Phoenix is not an area, one would say, upmarket, so to speak, if I can use that term loosely. It's really the working class, largely Indian community. Then you've got Inanda, Amawoti, Kwamashu, Bambai, and Zwelicha. It's a bigger area, and everybody there has been brutalized in one way or another. Is the ANC, your ANC, in that area going to make an ongoing effort? Because while justice will be served by the courts, the socio-economic challenges are on the ground.
Well, that's correct. Then we have understood that unless we elaborate and evolve a program that we can be able to measure at least within every quarter, it will not be possible for us to intervene and solve the problem that just actually happened there. Look, we've always understood that we are not as yet closer to the realization of this noble goal of building a non-racial society. But because there were no tangible and visible tensions, it may very well be that some among us have thought that we are succeeding to build a non-racial society. We haven't. It will entail a struggle, and that struggle will not just be about addressing the question of tension among racial groups and different communities. It's also the question of addressing their livelihood, the economic challenges, because there is a deep-seated perception or to some extent the reality that you encounter as you engage with these communities, that they would say to you, fine, we understand that we've got to live together to build this kind of a South Africa that our forebears had actually dreamed about, for which we also subscribe to. But there's a real challenge here in terms of how the economy has been distributed in the province between the different racial groups. And that is a major issue that we have agreed that the government also needs to do more, not only just our provincial government. This needs a partnership between the province and the national government to ensure that we respond to that cry. Because unless we address it, the perception will remain that, of course, we must not have a tension. Yes, we agree. But some of the things that may unfortunately lead to that kind of a tension is the manner in which the economy of the country and the economy of the province is being.
So are you going to, so as a governing party in that province, let's just focus on the province. I know it's a national issue, but in that province, as the secretary of ANC in KZN, are you then going to focus your efforts on trying to find actionable, practical, tangible economic solutions to address these gaps that you are talking about? Because we know that historically there has been people who've behaved recklessly in 1949, in 1985 with the Inanda riots, for example, between the Africans and the Indian community, and nobody wants to see what happened now in Phoenix escalate, including yourselves. So are you going to be focusing your efforts to make sure you address practically that gap between the haves and the have-nots? And if so, what shape would it take, Mr. Ntuli?
That's correct. Then, you know, we have agreed, for instance, that this coming Monday we have what we call an extended meeting of the Provincial Working Committee, where we are looking at the state of the economy in the city of eThekwini and the province in general, to look at what interventions that can be made in order to address the plight of our people in different parts of the province, not just in Phoenix. What are the economic activities that can be generated in which would allow people across racial line to participate and identify with in order to improve their own livelihoods? Because unless we do so, we've accepted that unless we address that real challenge, which is a major grievance that is emerging as we engage with these different communities. By the way, this is not just a problem of the African community. It may be far worse there because of the number of the people within that community. It is equally a problem that we are picking up as we engage with the communities within the Indian areas. They themselves are saying, of course, it may appear that many of us are better off compared to our African brothers and sisters, but the fact of the matter is that within ourselves, there's just a few that have actually acceded to the level at which you can say they have the ability to look after themselves and their families. So it's a matter that we've got to navigate very skillfully. It's a very delicate situation. The economy is not doing well. But the central question is that we have to find a solution. Unless we do so, we're going to remain with a big problem on our hands, which may lead to a much more devastating crisis into the future.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again in the near future. We've been talking for about 10 minutes or so. I wish we had a longer time, because I've seen reports coming out from the ground there from both the African community and the Indian community in Phoenix, as an example, because that's been like an epicenter of the latest racial tensions in KZN. It's about honest conversations are needed, real actionable solutions are needed. And you are the governing party, hence I was very keen to talk to you. But we'll revisit this one, Mr. Ntuli, because from Monday you are having more engagements with your provincial working group to try and see, because as the governing party, people will look to you for solutions for the future.
That's correct.
And things have to be done differently. We can't be doing the things the same way all the time. We have to find new ways now. I think if we learn anything out of this unrest, is that we have to act differently and more effectively. Thank you very much for your time. We'll revisit this in the near future. That's Mdumiseni Ntuli, the Secretary of the African National Congress, the ANC, in Kwazulu-Natal, as the governing party. Solutions are needed, different solutions rather are needed to make sure that the socio-economic challenges and difficulties people are crying about are effectively addressed.